Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at a sort of style of database called a relational database. Most databases in the world are relational databases because they are fast and efficient when compared to the alternative. Here's a little example of a database or a table. It's not relational, just to show you the advantages when we switch and show you the relational. Here I'm trying to keep track of the books checked out in a library. So you'll see here I record the person's name, their address, the title of the book code, and the due date. Now I've kept this sort of short and simple. There's probably a lot more information you would need, but this gives you the basic idea. You'll see here that Bob checks out Harry Potter. Another day, Bob checks out Dragon Tales. Another day, Bob checks out Dragon Tales again. Another day, Bob checks out Speed of Light. So you'll see sort of how the dates and the data work here. Now there's pros and cons to this system. First of all, you're going to notice every time a book is checked out, I have to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of data. Not so bad, but remember I kept this simple. In reality, you'd probably have to enter more than that, right? Like 10 or 11, 12 pieces of information. Okay, if somebody checks out 30 books, you got to go all that times 30 times. Another downside about this is here with the address column. The address of Bob is 434. And then it pops up again here. And it pops up again here. And it pops up again here. If Bob ever changes their address, you have to go back to all these spots in the table and change that. The other thing is, that's a lot of information. Repetitively, you have to constantly go Riverside, Riverside. You know, you should never be typing the same piece of data again. There has to be a better way, and we'll show you that better way. So let's go take a peek at how you would do this in a relational database. And for that, I'm just going to switch to the pre-made version, which you've seen before in a previous video, which is the library relational sample database. So here we go. Here's what I've done for this database. When I designed it, I designed the members table, and its job is purely to record member information. That's it. So name, last name, address, city, membership code. You'll also notice something really important here. Every member gets a unique member ID. So in previous videos, we had told you that in the design view, that you'd probably get the very first row already made for you, and it was set to auto number and had this little golden key beside it. What this field is this is a special field in your table. It's called the primary key. And almost every table in a database will have a field set to be the primary key. It's not always auto-numbered, but for us, we'll leave it auto-numbered. What the primary key does is it's going to be a field that is automatically numbered by the program whenever you create a new record and add somebody in. And so you'll see here, these numbers were just automatically put in. If I was to add somebody new in, tab key, let's say I just enter this fake person here, some fake information, you'll see that when I create them, automatically they got a 7, and it's unique. And that's the key here. This is unique. This is what makes every row absolutely unique. I could have another Alan Allens living at the same address, same city, same code somehow, but the member ID will be given a different member ID. So this guarantees that every row, every record in your table is absolutely unique, and we can identify Ellen by their member ID because we know that's a unique ID absolutely. What I've also done is I've done the same thing for the books. You'll see here when I designed the books table, I've given the very first field and called it book ID. It's got the key, and here I just set it to number, not auto number. So I have to type the book ID in myself, and I have to make sure it's going to be unique or the program's going to tell me that I've made a mistake. Now when I do it, you'll see here a datasheet view. Every book has its own unique ID. If I try to repeat an ID that's already been done, like 101, you'll see here, whoops, I need to make that a number. And when I go to the new row, it's giving me a problem here with the primary key. Okay, so it knows. Not good. Let's change it to something unique. And now we're all good, right? So it's watching out for us. Now here's the catch. I've got members with a member ID. I've got books with a book ID. Notice how the checkouts, I've got a table for my checkouts now, how they work. Basically, when somebody checks out a book, I now remember which member, member 1, checked out book 106, and then I can record the checkout date and the due date. And that's basically my records of checkouts. Notice the advantage of this. This is very little data to be entered here, because now instead of typing in names and addresses, those are already stored. Whoops, I shouldn't have done that. Those are already stored into those other tables of members and books. And so the nice thing is here is every member is just known by that little number. Member 1, book 106. Member 5, book ID 107. Member 2. Member 2 was Frank, and he took out 109, which is Red Rising. Okay, so the information is still there, but so small. 2, 109. No retyping all that stuff like the address and the title. If you ever have to make a change to your database now, like a member switches addresses, you just go to the members table, change the address. One place, done. If a book changes a code or an author, just go right there, change it or change it. You don't have to mess around with your huge list of checkouts and make any changes in there because the IDs stay the same. You'll also notice, just as good practice, this checkout ID isn't actually used at all in this example, but just as a good database programmer here, your first field, it's always nice to make it a key that's unique. Okay, and so this is how a relational database works. Basically, the books and the members and the checkouts are all related. How are they related? They're related by their primary keys. That's usually the way the relation is made, right, between all of them. And so that's your relational database. Okay, part 1. Okay, we'll take a little look at part 2 in a bit, but just check out here what I can do once it's all related up. Once it's all related up, you can go to Database Tools, hit the Relationship button, and you'll see here I have no relationships. So what I can do is I can click Show Tables. I can add the books, add the checkouts, add the members, close, and you'll see it actually has visually drawn the relationship. Because I named these fields Book ID, and in the checkouts table, I also called it Checkout ID. So just check that here. Checkout ID, or sorry, Member ID, Book ID. Those are the exact same names I use there. Member ID and Book ID. It automatically made these relationships. If for some reason your program didn't make those relationships, I'm just clicking and deleting here. Let's say those relationships weren't shown. It's really easy to make the relationships. You just drag and drop. Click, drag, and Book ID links to Book ID. Great. Member ID links to Member ID. Let go. Great. And that's it. Once you have this relationship set up, check it out. I can now go plus sign. Hey, Alan. Oh, and there's the books, right, that they've checked out. All right, the records. Frank, Michaela, etc. Now we're going to learn other things like searches that'll actually give you all the information you want, like the book names, etc., etc. But you'll see the idea here. It can give you a lot of information, okay, all linked up together, separate tables, nice and efficient, easy to work with. And then if you want, you could give the user forms for the books, you could give a user forms for members, and you could give a form for checkouts that make checkouts really easy, right? So that's basically your relational table and the basic idea. We have a few practice exercises for you to do with it to try to design your own databases, you know, thinking what fields would you use and how would you link the information up together. And so you can take a peek at this one, and you can also take a peek at the little notes here that sort of walk you through, how I made the library one, and then you get to try to make your own. Thanks for watching.